With us today is Mike Young once again. I would say he's a good friend of mine now at this point. We've talked quite a bit. But just to get this interview off the ground, this is a big question regarding a lot of people in the industry that I'm pretty sure you've been asked, but what's the state of the industry looking like, and how's it affected your studio in particular?
I can't hide it. It's a disastrous time across the board. Many different things have met at this point, and of course, one of the biggest ones is the current administration and all their constant tariffs and changes and cancellations and so no one knows how to plan and where they literally are. We literally had one major production financier pullout because the company had lost so much money on the stock exchange in the last week or so, and then today there's a flip the other way around, and they try, they're trying to put things right. But again, saying we will rest this for 90 days doesn't really do a lot. Animation especially is a long, slow process. Even with AI and all the modern technologies, it's not like shooting a movie in 2 or 3 months, 4 months, for an independent movie. It's a long process. And so people have got to trust the process apart from anything else. And that's the other side of the coin, is that AI is having a dramatic effect, is coming along faster than anyone expected. Unfortunately, it means lots of jobs and positions are eroded. And yet I have to, even as an old guy as I am, I've got to have faith in the fact that human beings and original ideas will come from human beings, and that human beings will be in the process. So it is a very tough time. If you look around the world, studios in France and Canada and other places, the UK, they've gone out of business. And these are countries where they've got big tax breaks. Okay, but it's owning copyrights. Disney is this big, massive copyright owning company, and that's their strength and their wealth. And so many of these studios are work for hire studios, and they rely on people ordering shows from them that they make them, but they don't own them. We try and straddle both worlds, but it has been I'm being very honest, it's very difficult at the moment.
But that's what I hear a lot. It's really hard to stay afloat, and just it is definitely an art form that unfortunately is not looked at the highest regard, although it's quite successful in some areas, in some aspects, but it's definitely very challenging, I could figure. Um, my next question, if you want to talk about it, last I checked, your studio was currently working on the Meeps, if I was not mistaken.
Yeah. With Simon Fuller, the big, impresario, is a fabulous person, and we developed a little idea with him called the Meeps, and we made a video, which is 70 million views on YouTube and more elsewhere, and basically it was with one of the big studios who loved it and wanted to do it, but the team that we were working with at the studios were all let go. Okay, at this major studio, I won't mention their name, and we've only recently, well, Simon recently has the rights back now, and we'll start to look at it again, probably from a different viewpoint. The other projects we have are R.L. Stine, Little Shop of Monsters, a movie which we've been putting together. We've got The Last White Rhino, which is a fabulous potentially major award-winning movie about literally the last white rhino, and it's the truth. It's in animation style, but it's still a true story, and we try and follow as faithfully as possible the actual story. We've got something called Under the Mystic Moon, which is a fabulous. We're trying to cast a very famous young singer at the moment to, with children, is what's famous to children is not what's famous to adults. You're like, we made the soccer movie with a famous soccer stars, Zlatan and Megan Rapinoe as the World Cup captain with the pink hair, and we had Weird Al Yankovic, who is, all the dads and granddads know him. So we hit all these different sort of demographics, and they were shocked at how successful it was. Even though it was a $7 million movie, it beat $100 million movies in the ratings and such. And I said, well, it's because the children knew who it was, who was in the show. You ask them, my soccer team, they're all 11 years old. You say, have you heard of Brad Pitt? No. George Clooney? No. Paul McCartney? No. You go through all these famous names. And then you ask a girl who's on TikTok, and they all put their hands up, and they know who she is. So fame to children is very different to me and you, for instance. We're completely different demographics. So with Under Mystic Moon, the concept is a young Dracula type character who's aghast to receive a Valentine's card. And he thinks that all the female spooks and zombies who live in his world have sent it to him, and he's chasing after them and accusing them, and they all say, no, there's nothing to do with us. He eventually finds it's an Earth girl who's actually sent it. And so he's going to go down there and sort her out. Okay. What happens is they fall in love. And to spoil the end of the movie, at the end of the movie, she becomes a Dracula and he becomes human. And so it's like a Valentine's Day meets Halloween double film concept. So we're very, 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 very excited about it. So that's what we're doing. We have another thing, a series called Soaring Eagles. They're young Native American Indian girls who are in a soccer team, led by a female lead soccer player who has decided not to become a big star professional, even though she could be, but she takes over this team. And the reason why is that these girls have a special power. They can all travel back in time to meet their forebearers. So fundamentally, to solve their daily problems, they can go back in time, their Native American time, and find salvation or solve the problem. And we have another one called Crystal Bears of Crystal Cove.
I saw that.
You saw that one, and it's really coming on great. But none of it's easy. And of course, the other challenge these days is keeping hold of rights. You can go to some of these big companies and they take all the rights from you. Okay. And you don't own it. And so there you are. That's my moan.
Rock Dog, yeah. A lot of people are wondering if that's coming back.
Oh, well, we made those sequels, the Rock Dog sequels. They were very inexpensive. They've done really well. We've tried to convince Lionsgate to actually do a series based on Rock Dog, and it's still going on. None of these things are a walk in the park as such, but it's such a great property and concept, and Eddie Izzard was funny as hell in it. So we live in hopes.
That's great to hear. Let's see. I've been really meaning to ask you this one. What is it like to own and run a streaming service like Kabylion?
Yeah. Well, it's we're a family company. Who would have thought that we would have built a network with the technology that kids prefer and like to go to? Kabylion is on all the cable channels on demand, free on demand. It's on Apple, Amazon Fire, and most of all Roku. And we get probably about 10 million kids a month watching Kabillion. And by all the numbers we see, we probably have a 30 or 40% bigger daily audience than even Nickelodeon or Disney Channel. It's very funny. My youngest grandson, who's now 9, when he was 6, our daughter worked over at Disney. They did um, Spidey and Friends. Okay, and you know, I say to Bodie, look, we're going to watch Auntie Sarah's Spidey and Friends, and he loved it. And he said, can I watch another one now? We said, no, it's on next Friday. That was beyond. That's your era. You grew up in that era where on a Saturday morning you watched the same show as 50% of the other kids in your playground, and then you waited a week and you saw the next week, and brands were built that way. Now it's the get it now era, okay, and it brings its own problems because basically you can crash through a series even as an adult, very quickly, and move on to the next thing, and it's interesting that Netflix hasn't really driven the big merchandising hit itself. It's bought in stuff that has, and I think that's the bit that's lost is the slow rollout, drip, drip, drip. You go in the playground and you watch a rerun of it as well, and you know what I mean. You play with your pals, and so and the same with box office and movies. How often do you go to Jacob? Do you go to a movie theater now?
Like once, maybe twice a month.
And you're way above average. Okay. Yeah. Well, but people used to go several times a week back in the day. Okay. And you're above average. A lot of people either don't go at all or go once or twice in a year, and they'll watch those blockbusters and all the rest of it. And even with one of our little ones in the family, they said, should we go and see so and so movie? Oh no, it'll be on Apple in 4 weeks time. Okay, so it's sort of really diminished the box offices, and it's also diminished the linear channels. Okay, and so we're in this now new era, and then there's all that free stuff that you can watch on TikTok and on YouTube, etc., etc. You know what I mean? But in the end, somebody's got to pay for it, and copyrights have to be respected, if you know what I mean. And where is it all going to go? I don't know.
Sure. I had more questions in my head, but I just wanted to just say, what other thoughts you would like to share with us? Anything
Well,
else?
I think we're always looking for kids and young people to watch Kabillion and support it and to share it. We're a family company. We're up against multimillionaire companies. So any passing on and sharing, we're always thrilled to bits with you for doing. I think we're very honest with people, and we try and show things that are, going to hit all those different demographics. Okay, and as I say, that we're all got our fingers crossed that the world, it's not just animation, it's the whole film world, and then the whole world. Now we're in a pretty tricky spot because people who invest in an animated series or in a movie is a couple of years before the thing comes out. So therefore, you want they want some trust that everything is going to remain stable, and it's not been stable lately. So it's tricky time. California as well has fell behind in tax breaks and all the rest of it, and I'm hoping they're trying to put it right now. The fact is that Canada and France and UK and Australia and all our they have big subsidies and tax breaks, and California rested on its laurels as being the center of the world, and it's no longer. because a lot of the work has gone elsewhere. Even something we're doing, we've gone back to the UK. You can hear my accent and where I started off. Yeah, but that, I think, look, what you're doing is great. You're getting messages out there to people, and send us the links and we'll share it like crazy for you. And we, anytime you want us, we're here for you. Okay.
Awesome, awesome. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you for your time. And
And
I
thank
will,
you. Bye bye.
bye-bye.